Is anybody here for 495 Lordship Boulevard? Okay, that has been postponed till next month possibly, or the month after. We're not quite sure which one will...
They withdrew at 4 o'clock today.
Yeah, they withdrew it at 4 o'clock today, so we will not be hearing that at all.
Call the zoning office if you want to find out when it is going to heard. Okay.
All right, the Stratford zoning is now open for public hearing for those petitions advertised to be heard at this session. For the record, Linda Manis is sitting in for Chris Solhavy, and Lam Win is sitting in for Alex Bacola. Ms. Phillips is not here at the moment. The rest of us are regular members. I wish to announce that should any items on tonight's agenda take more time than anticipated, this public hearing may conclude at 11 p.m. and be continued to another date, which will be established at that time. Any items not heard by 11 p.m. tonight will be heard at the continued public hearing. For the record, petitions to be heard this evening were advertised in the Connecticut Post on August 15th and August 22nd. These properties were duly posted on August 21st. And if I could ask everyone to either shut off your cell phones or electronic devices or put them on vibrate to not interfere with the petitioners and the speakers. Ms. Manis, could I get you to read petition number 1, please? Oh, she did tell me that. Okay, Lam, could you read petition number 1, please?
Petition number 1, 2248 Barnum Avenue. Petition of Jeffrey McCurry seeking a site plan review and special case to establish a hookah lounge incidental to a 4-unit retail shopping plaza in a CA zone.
Is the petitioner present? Yes. Would you like to step forward, state your name and address for the record, and explain to us what you would like to do?
Hi, I'm Jeffrey McCary. I live in 518 Roanoke Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. I would like to open up a hookah lounge in Barnum Avenue, right after the cutoff. So tonight I'm petitioning for the hookah lounge.
Do you have the petition or the certificates of mailing?
I actually did not receive them yet in the mail, but I did go to the neighbor's house and each one that I was supposed to, and I got their signatures, each one on letters, so I can pass that forward.
Did you get the receipts from their certificate of mailing? The receipts are all we really need.
Yeah, I didn't get that yet in the mail, but I did go to their homes. I did send them I did send out certified mail, but I did not receive the receipt back to my address.
But
So-
when you send a certified letter, you get a green receipt that comes with it. That's what we need, is the verification that they were actually sent.
Oh, yeah, I have that. Should I get that?
Okay, yeah, we need those.
And if you have those other letters, you're welcome to submit those as well. So
Sure.
The signature.
So I sent them Priority Mail Express by USPS. She gave me a copy of each letter, of each mail, and I got a printed receipt right here. Should I start with submitting each letter, or?
Yeah, why don't you
Okay.
give us
So-
all that, and we'll decipher.
All right. So these are 13 copies, each one. Let me see this.
What do you do?
Oh, I'm waiting for you guys to receive them.
Well, you can continue.
I can continue? All right.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So I received your letter. It was sent out. It was stamped August 19th, but dated August 12th. I received it last Friday. I read that you were confused about the bathroom space. So I also revised the floor plans with my architect, and I would like to clarify where the bathroom is. And you guys, and the committee also was confused if I was going to serve alcohol. I am not going to serve alcohol. So that's why I also took out the bar chairs in the floor plan near the kitchen. So right now I'm also going to pass to you copies of the floor plan.
Okay.
Yes, revised. Yeah. Also, I did notice that you were confused on the floor plan, that one had a bathroom and one did not. The one that did not have a bathroom, I believe, was the survey map, and the surveyor did not go inside the building, so the floor plan was for inside the building. The surveyor only did the map of survey for outside the building and around the premises, of course. In the letter, lastly, there were two more concerns from your end. One of them was the air handling system. So from my end, I did research to get quotes for air handling systems, which I will install in the hookah lounge. I will be handling 4 different papers. Each person can get a copy. So in the papers, there is a quote regarding the air handling systems that I will use. There's also a pamphlet about the air handling systems, and there's also a floor plan, especially just where the handling systems will be placed. Thank you.
is this?
Lastly, in your letter,
Okay.
you did have concerns regarding the landscaping. Since I received the letter on Friday,
You had all the survey.
the landscape,
plans.
my architect, Mike Shevlin, he did not have time to give me another map with additional landscaping to be revised. But I will be also compliant with landscaping, planting beds, and 2 to 3 flowering shade trees and low-lying planting shrubs. Currently, I stated all your concerns in the letter, so if you have any questions that you'd like to address, please feel free to do so.
I have one question. Did you receive a letter from the Director of the Health Department in regards to state regulations on tobacco and the fact that you cannot have this type of operation with any type of food or alcohol?
I received a memorandum only from the town of Stratford, and page 2. Oh yes, regarding the FDA, I did.
Do you fully understand everything she was talking about? And
Yes,
you're going to adhere to all that?
Of course.
Without me reading the entire thing?
yes.
Okay. Andrea has a tendency of getting in-depth.
Yeah, I was actually very happy that the health department was informed regarding the steps.
Well, you'll find that we have one of the best in the area, so
That's good.
they will be watching.
My pleasure.
Yes. Ms. Phillips? Sure.
Okay, if I ask a question.
Yes.
Very simple. Have you owned a hookah lounge before? Have you had any experience?
First time opening a hookah lounge.
Okay.
New to the industry.
Just something that caught your interest, right?
To be honest, I do hookah once a while, and I do like it. I do like to socialize with other people while having a hookah. I enjoy it, so
Okay.
I find it nice. It's therapeutic, and that's why that's one reason I would like to establish one.
Okay.
Okay, that probably answers another question that I might have is, have you ever experienced anybody trying to sneak in anything other than the tobacco that you supply there?
Never. I never saw in any hookah lounges that I saw or went to. I never saw anyone sneak anything in.
Mr. Henrik?
So, so the tobacco is provided by you, by your business, or do people bring it in?
I will be searching for distributors
Okay.
that supply tobacco.
So, but it'll be sold through people. Can people bring in their own tobacco, or
No. For regulations, especially health, we would like to only put our tobacco where we get from our distributors, so we know what's happening, and that way we will be able to regulate the situation. I mean,
and the liquor store that it's next to, loitering is typically a problem there.
no.
In front of the liquor store.
Yeah, there were loitering a few months ago, actually.
Yeah.
But for the past 4 months, there hasn't been any loitering. And in case of someone loitering, the staff at the liquor store directly know to call the police or to ask the people loitering to politely leave.
Okay, so you've already worked out that detail with them?
Yes.
Okay. I've actually got a friend who, and I think that the hookah lounge is typically a Middle Eastern type tradition.
Yeah.
He had taken me up to the place up in Milford. We went to the place next door and went and met the people, and it's I guess a very rich tradition, and well respected. And he had explained to me that it is, for certain people who like to smoke a hookah, it's a social event.
Yeah,
as
it
much
is.
as anything else.
Yeah. I mean, we get to communicate with other people after a long day of work, or so. I mean, it's nice.
Okay,
It's
so
social.
it's kind of almost like I won't say a men's club, but it's kind of a family
Yeah.
family theme, not family theme, but family mindset?
Exactly, yes, it is.
Okay.
It's promoting, social aspects, so cultural,
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
yes, adds to our diversity.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I didn't even look at that part of it, but how many parking spaces are you entitled, from the landlord?
Actually,
Or
me and
are
my
you the
family,
or are you the landlord?
yes, me and my family are the landlord.
You bought the building?
It has been our building for the past 20 years.
Okay, so I guess
Yeah.
parking's not an issue.
I think it said they were required to have 13 and they have 14
Okay.
spaces.
And we can always add more parking lines, but we're going to restripe the premises.
Okay. All right. And do you have any plans of the garbage receptacle in the back of redoing any of that at all, or
Pardon?
where the garbage container is in the back?
Yeah,
It's fenced in.
yes, it's fenced in.
You plan on redoing that fence, or you?
Yes, we plan on, promoting the curb appeal as much as possible to promote the businesses, and we plan on making the general building look nicer with landscape and with fencing.
'Cause I was there.
Front of the building and back of the building.
I was there today, and it
Oh,
needed a little bit of help.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody here who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone in favor? Anyone in opposition? Anyone in opposition? Nothing, Walter? Okay.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Ms. Phillips. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? So moved.
So we'll reopen it for after we're done with this portion of the meeting, and we'll discuss it and vote on it. So
All right.
you can sit and wait, or
Yeah.
All right, so
your
I'll
part's
sit and
done
wait.
tonight.
I'll sit and wait.
Yeah,
So
yeah, your
what
part's done.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Hendrick, would you like to read item number 2?
1136 Stratford Ave, the petition of Hatal Shah seeking a site plan review and approval of liquor location to establish a liquor store incidental to a two-family dwelling commercial space in a CA zone.
Petition present, step forward, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, this is Hetal Shah, and I petition for the 1136 Stratford Avenue for the liquor permit. And he's my husband, he's going to represent too.
Okay.
If you have any question, I have this,
Certified mail for the neighbors.
what?
No, that's the only one they gave us for the post office. Okay, sure.
We accept these certificates of mailing as well as the green ones. These are just less expensive, so we allow these as well. These are good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And if you would like to just explain to us what you want to do at the store, at the building. Didn't even look like a store today when I was down there.
Yes, it is an existing office right now, and we wanted to convert it to the liquor store. And we received your letter, and I saw that the health department has no issue with it.
Correct.
So step by step, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Good one.
We are totally new for this hearing, so we are just a little bit slow right now. But we are in the business, retail business, next town, Milford. We are owning the one gas station retail business. It's been like 4 years. And one more business we have, like convenience store at New Haven. It's been like 11 years already. So we have like a retail business knowledge. And we seen that property on the sale. We didn't buy anything, this property yet. It's on the contract right now until we get this liquor permit license on these premises. So right now, the people, they are using as a computer office, and they want to move New Haven. So this is the reason why the existing owner, he want to sell that property. And our knowledge is just only the retail. I would like to keep that the tenant as what they are doing, but they don't want to stay there. They want to move New Haven because they want to do something better. So this premises right now, it's a commercial zoning business, and a couple of my cousins, they are owning a liquor business in Hampton. So we have a little bit knowledge about the liquor, and they are also helping us in beginning to start the business. This is the reason why we applied for the liquor permit. And next door house, we're going to be kept as we're going to be renovated. Like right now, this house needs more work because it's look outside is perfect, but inside it's a lot of work to do. So our future plan to renovate whole house, and the next door we're going to be convert that business. So this is like two separate properties, but right now it's like one is house and it's like mixed uses, like. And we did like survey and we did the architect plans as per your requirement, and
we're going to have like front door, and we're going to have the back door, like back rear entrance and the front entrance for the public to use. And we have like handicap parking on the back for easy access for them, so they can come from the rear entrance and come to the store. And we need like a little more space, so that's why we're thinking to put the walk-in cooler outside. Like we extend a little bit outside, and we wanted to like a two-car garage. We wanted to like demolish like half of the garage so we can utilize that space for the walk-in cooler. So we can have more products for the customers. So that's the reason for putting the cooler, walk-in cooler.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to have. What are your plans with the garages in the back? You're just going to use one of the garages for a walk-in cooler and storage?
No, one side, like each side of the garage, we use it for the storage, and one side, the back of the house garage, we wanted to like give two space for the like residents who is going to rent out.
So those are going to be still used as parking garages?
Yes, parking garage, yes.
No, the one for the house, like whoever come for the live, they need like for the car on the right hand side.
Yeah. The one closest to the house will be parking.
Closest to the house
Right.
one, yes.
And the one opposite of that will be for storage and a walk-in cooler.
No, walk-in cooler will be just back to the store, and the garage would be for the storage of the supplies.
Oh. Okay.
Did you check with the health department to make sure that they accept the walk-in cooler to be outside?
We received the letter for the comments like a week ago. We were here in the town hall, and I saw the letter, and it says health department has no issue. I have letter somewhere, if you need the letter.
Yeah, they sent in a letter stating that they were not opposed to the concept.
Okay. I did see there was no issues. I didn't know if they addressed that specifically.
add, because I let the commission know that the applicants came in last week, discussed my staff comments, and they clarified for me that, I know I mentioned in my staff comments that it would make more sense to have the ADA parking space up front, near the front entrance, but they indicated that there actually is a rear entrance, as they mentioned, but since I wrote to the contrary, I wanted to make sure the commission understands that there is a rear entrance for that ADA parking space, as well as any patrons in the rear.
Yes, and we're going to post the sign for the customers so they will know that they can park on the rear and use the rear entrance and have the ADA parking back there.
Ms. Phillips?
I didn't see it in the plans, or maybe I just didn't catch it. A lot of liquor stores have a big window so that you could see through and have.
Same exactly we're going to be doing.
So you're going to cut out part of the front?
Cut out the part of the front, yeah.
Okay, but
We have it in the floor plan.
that's, okay.
Yes, I can show it to you.
Yeah, I'll look for it. I didn't see it right off when I was going through it. So
Yeah,
I
we're
figured I
going to be
could
doing the
ask you.
fronts, all the windows and the
So you're going to redo all the front,
Redo
cut it
all the
out?
fronts, yeah.
But the front door still would be in the front, and there will be another door access in the back?
Right now, there is a two-door already, front and back.
Right.
Existing building, what they are using right now, they are using the both way right now.
Okay.
So same exactly, we're going to be use the same thing.
Okay.
The both doors.
Just cut a big window in it?
On the
So
front,
that's
yeah.
what those are? They're going to actually be windows?
Yeah, 3 windows over here at the front.
Okay. My standard questions for liquor stores, are you going to have security, the appropriate cameras
Yes.
and locks, and so that we can,
Yeah, we're going to be do the surveillance system. I have every store, my gas station, my retail convenience store, everywhere we have security system,
cameras and so
camera
forth?
systems, yes.
And your liquor storage will be locked, controlled with a controlled lock?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and
On the gate, we're going to be put the gate, so
Yes.
during the night, we're going to be locked those things.
Okay.
Mr. Henrik?
So, to access the rear lot, you have a 14-foot wide driveway. That's not wide enough for 2 cars to fit through. So as cars sit and attempt to get to the back of the lot, well, for starters, it's a very tight turn. If you put a car in the handicap space, even with the garage being removed, it's very tight squeeze to get between that handicap space to the back of the lot. Now, if you have a car coming to exit the lot and a car coming to enter the lot, how do we resolve that issue?
On the back side, on the handicap parking. Or
Well, the space between the line for the handicap space and the garage bays that will remain, even after you remove the 244 square foot section of garage, that's a narrow width for a car to get through on its own. But now, if you have a car exiting the lot from parking lots, say 5, 6, 7, and 8, which the turnaround space looks a little difficult in itself, but if you have a car exiting from parks 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, heading out the driveway, they have to navigate past the handicap space, past the garage, they come around the corner, and they run head-on into an incoming car.
like one way, actually, like,
You can't fit 2 cars side by side, so how do you address that issue?
So it's like in our mind right now, we can take whole thing out then. Those 2, whatever the little bit excess we have, those garage, we're gonna remove everything then.
But even still,
So that's where you can have some more space.
but even still, how do you address cars coming in? How do you address that?
After that, if you remove that thing, like garage, you will see like more space over there. It's easy to access.
Yeah, but I mean, if a car is exiting and a car is entering that lot, they run into each other head to head.
And they have some room also on the back of the garage. Like right now, they are using the easement property,
like on
and
the
they are
other side.
another side on the back of the.
Oh,
The attached property, the next property,
okay.
where we put like 5, 6, 7, 8 parkings. Over there, is a space to get out of that side. For the next building.
Okay.
So
They
This
can
is-
get it out from the next building and exit out from that side. No,
On the-
like, his concern is like, it's not two-way.
It's not wide enough for
Yeah,
two cars.
but, yes, but, like 5, 6, 7, 8 over there, it's like this.
At the top, at the back?
No, on the back, like here.
Yep.
The next building, they have the space over there and they have the driveway over there. That's how they're using right now too. Like one go from this side and they come out and exit this way. Or if they enter from here, then they exit the other way. You following?
I do, but you're saying you're going to have your patrons exit through another person's
So-
property?
So, yeah, that's how they're doing right now too.
Right now.
Like, this
They are using
property,
right
they're
now.
using our, like this property's driveway. And this property's driveway, they're using for the next door's driveway. So it's like open space from here, like all the back of this garage, this space is all open.
And the garbage also, the dumpster also over here right now, they are using end of the corner. So the garbage, the guy, like the truck guy, he comes onto these sides and pick up the garbage and go back to the other side.
Do you have written permission from the owner to be able to do that?
Right. They are using like easement contracts.
But I know, but do you have written permission?
Right now, we don't, but we can, if you want, we can get it for this, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what the
That's what they are using right now.
Yeah, Realtor inform us that that's how they're using it.
The next one.
Yeah, we would,
Did I understand that you were thinking about knocking down the two-car and storage garage?
Yes.
Well, that would
if we
eliminate a lot of the problem if you did
Yeah,
that.
we can remove this thing too also, yeah, it's fine, because this one is already, it's not in good condition right now,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's okay if
So
we
can
make that.
remove that, yeah.
We could make that one of the stipulations if we do go forward with this, that you will knock down that garage?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Well, the stipulation would be that you would knock down the garage for the approval if we so decide to go that way.
Yes, we are, we ready, we agree for
Okay,
that.
so that would eliminate Mr. Henrich's concern about traffic going in and out and being too tight. Because actually, I was there today in a smaller car, and that was kind of close.
We are
Mr.
ready.
Chairman, if he eliminates that garage, and I like the idea generally, I want to make sure that there is proper parking. That if you take out that garage, to replace it with parking, so that you have sufficient parking for the house and the liquor store.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
that's not used as part of the required parking.
okay.
I don't believe.
Well, that's what I wanted to make sure that we don't
Right.
eliminate parking and now we create another jeopardy. The second thing is if you do eliminate the garage, then it makes more sense to put the handicap parking in the front because now you have more space
On
in
the
the
back.
back,
Yeah, we can do that too also.
which would also make it easier
To the
for
handicap guy.
to navigate in and out.
Totally agree with you.
Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I do think, because I do know that since I live down there, you're using the other person's property. I know that, and you have been for a long time. But for an application like this, you should have a contract or something in writing that gives permission.
For the next door, sure. We can ask our.
Both ways. I mean, it's good for them,
Okay.
it's good for you as
For
well.
both, sure.
Yes, because their property, they also have like one-way access. So tough for them, if we block that, then tough for them to get in and out. So it's good for both the properties that once we, like one way get out and one way the other, so it's really good.
Okay.
Right.
Does that resolve your issue, Mr. Henrich, by knocking down the garage, or?
Well, It clears up the sight line and makes it a little more navigable. But I think we'd want to see something that gives you permission, to use their property as an entrance and exit space.
Sure.
For me, I would rather have based on the layout, I would rather have the handicap space in the back. And I think for you guys, because that handicap space is 15 feet wide, you only have, 18, 19 feet. So then you'll be stuck with just one parking space, one handicap space in the front. So for me, having it in the back is not a bad thing. And I think it would be more conducive to your business to have it in the back. But just having something seeing something in writing where you have an agreement with the neighbor that allows you to use that space. Because if one day he sells it and he says, you guys...
Right now, he also selling his property.
Yeah.
I seen the sign outside.
Yeah. But get something in writing from him that says you'll be able to do it and have it recorded on the land deeds. And then I would be okay with it. But now, if something happened, it creates a dangerous situation. People trying to come, trying to turn in from Stratford Ave, and if you've got somebody pulling out, then they have to stop and wait and let the cars come back. Or if they come in at the same time without seeing each other, somebody's got to back up, and it can be a long way to back up.
No, you're right about that.
So just for public safety, I'd like to
purpose.
see
No, you're
something
right about that,
that allows you to continue that. Yeah.
Thank you to open our eyes. Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to mention, this might help address some of Commissioner Henrich's concerns about sight lines and one way in and one way out. It's similar to what was done at Pizza Co., which has two buildings and a very narrow entrance. The zoning commission at that time required a stop bar in the front that required anyone pulling in come to a full stop on that front plane, that front corner. And then there's signage on there, I think, that says oncoming traffic slow. So I'm not sure if that's addressed it, but that's something that was done in the past that I think has worked pretty well so far. But
Yeah, everybody at Pizza Co. parks on the street. But is there availability to park on the street? I don't recall.
Right now, people, they are parking. I see all the time the people are parking over there, but... Okay.
Okay.
It's right across from the health beauty store. So right now, where people park in that parking lot across where the bank used to be.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why it hasn't been as busy as it is. But I was going to mention the signage, because I was thinking of Pizza Co.
Right.
And that's what we did was we had a bar so that people had to slow down first of all. And then we had signage so that they wouldn't be confused.
Yes, that's good idea. I agree with that. Like stop sign and another sign like oncoming traffic, so they would know that how the things go here.
Right?
Oh, okay, speed. Okay, slow down.
Sure.
Right.
And then just, I'm sorry, you done? Yeah. One last question. I know we've allowed it before, I think, at the top of where Barnum and, I can't remember the name of the road, goes off to the right. There's a liquor store there, and it abuts a residence. Is there any issue with a liquor store abutting a residential home?
Well, from my office's perspective, I haven't heard anything in my 3.5 years here about that location. But I think I told the applicant, I at one time lived, it wasn't a two-family house, but I lived above a liquor store, and it was nothing more than convenient. No,
I knew you were going there.
And they close at 9, or they can close at 8, but I think they're allowed to stay open until 9 now. So I think it's somewhat of a compatible use, but I think a lot of that depends on how active and present the landlords are, making sure things are clean and that everybody's behaving themselves. So.
Okay. Yeah, so long as we don't have any regulations we would need to look at.
There's no regulations that would prohibit that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody in favor? Anybody in opposition? Nothing, Walter? You're not speaking tonight? Got you covered. gotcha. Of a motion to close by Mr. Nguyen, second by Ms. Manis. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? So moved. And need a motion to close the public hearing. Already did. Where were you? Oh. Okay. All right. 495 will not be heard this evening. It'll be withdrawn at 4 o'clock today. Hopefully it'll be, what? That's not, it's just, is it pertaining to any of the petitions tonight? No. Okay, well then I can't allow that, Walter.
You said it, okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much. 495 will not be heard. It was withdrawn at 4 o'clock today, and hopefully we'll see it in the next month or two. And with that, I need a motion to close the public hearing portion of by Mr. Hendrick, second by Ms. Phillips. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Rolling right into administrative.
Motion to take 2248 Barnum Ave, petition of Jeffrey Macari, seeking a site plan review and special case to establish a hookah lounge incidental to a 4-unit rental shopping plaza in a CA zone. Off the table.
Okay, motion to take it off the table, second by Ms. Manis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Mr. Henrik.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the hookah lounge pending stipulating that the landscape design or the landscape requirements be followed. Where's that other paperwork? That the health department requirements be followed concerning air quality, that no alcohol or food be served on the property, and I think those were all the stipulations, Jay? Or was there?
We had also the landscape, additional landscaping.
Yep.
Additional landscaping, to ensure, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One, to ensure that the air handling system is installed, is that one?
Installed into the health department's requirements?
Yep. We have the additional landscaping at the western property line, the small triangle, and along the eastern portion along Agresta. And then I also heard, the applicant, I believe, said that they were going to be restriping the parking lot.
And that, yes, and restriping the parking lot to be stipulations included in the approval.
And the one extra thing that I heard that I didn't list was the chairman mentioned repairing the trash enclosure.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And to include repairs to the trash enclosure in the rear of the property.
Okay. And would somebody like to second that? Second by Ms. Phillips. Any other discussion on the matter? Mr. Henrik.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, like I'd said before, I have some friends, Middle Eastern friends, who they don't go to hookah lounges, but they speak very highly of them. It's part of the tradition of their culture. It is, and I won't say it's a family because it's a smoking. It's not a family-oriented, but it's a social aspect to the lifestyle, and I think it would fit in there well. I don't see it as any obnoxious or destructive behavior. So I think, and based on hearing from the applicant, I think his intents are to keep it in that vein. I think it fits into the neighborhood. I know Milford has one. There are a couple other locations, and they're respected businesses in the areas that they are. And as long as we can get the air filtration in there, the smoke wouldn't be obnoxious to the neighboring property. So, based on that, I would support his application.
Okay. Any other discussion on the matter? Ms. Phillips?
I would support it as well. I think it's a good application. The applicant has done quite a bit of research. It adds a little more diversity to our businesses, and in a friendly nod to Mr. Hendrick, he's very enlightened, so thank you. So I really see and support this application.
Okay, seeing no other comments, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Welcome to Stratford.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Henrik.
Do I leave now?
Yep, you're done.
You can hang out if you want, but
All right. Or do I wait in the mail for something?
Yeah, jail will send you a letter or something.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Motion to take 1136 Stratford Ave, petition of Fatal Shah, hopefully I said that correctly, seeking a site plan review and approval of liquor location to establish a liquor store incidental to a two-family dwelling, commercial space in a CA zone.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Hendrick, second by Ms. Manis. Any discussion on the matter?
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? 5-0. Mr. Hendrick.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve this application with the conditions to include removal of the entire garage facility on the right side of the property,
Correct.
in that the applicant present to the zoning officer a legal document allowing use, egress and ingress through the neighboring property to last in perpetuity with the application.
Okay.
Yep.
Ms.
I
Phil-
wanted to friendly add to put signage and a stop ramp, it's more like a speed bump, also included in.
So to include stipulation to also include travel safety signage similar to those that were incorporated into the Pizza Co. Establishment, and their final approval to be given by our zoning commissioner, officer, or
Administrator.
administrator, the zoning, the zoning guy. Mr. Hibansky.
There you go. Did I miss any of the other?
And was there? Is that it, or?
Not really. The garage,
Garage is coming down.
yep,
So the
and a signed letter.
a legal document allowing egress and ingress onto the neighboring property to run in perpetuity with the application, the applicant's use of the property as a liquor establishment.
Any other questions, discussion?
And I think those were the only, there was no other administrative comments from health or zoning, so I think that covered it all.
I think I understand the situation that they're in, and although I'm not a fan of more liquor stores in Stratford, they have a good plan. If the liquor store doesn't succeed, I'm certainly going to put in my bid for a Dunkin' Donuts or a coffee shop. That would be my preference since I live down there, but the plan, I don't have any objection, and it doesn't really violate anything, so I'm very supportive of it.
Okay. Mr. Hendrick?
We need a second first, but.
I'll give a second.
Okay.
A second.
And then just part of the application has lineage drawn for the parking, so obviously before final approvals for occupancy, that parking lot would need to be lined as per the applicant's submittal.
Any other discussion on the matter? Nope. Seeing none? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Passes 5-0. You too, welcome to Stratford. Thank you.
That's 5-0.
5-0. Mr. Hendrick. Motion by Mr. Hendrick. Do I have a second? By Win Lam. Lam Win. Sorry about that. I'll get you. I'll get it sooner or later. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? So moved. Campsite, nothing. Zoning enforcement, nothing. Accessory. 235 Old Coach Lane. We have a petition before us. Yeah.
Maybe he didn't, if he didn't get one, I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. He'd be on the bottom, all right.
So,
Yep, you can go.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
so
you,
much.
and
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Good. Thank you.
you can call me tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, to the zoning administrator, I was surprised that this was in our administrative and also at zoning. Could you kind of explain why we're looking at an accessory apartment in our administrative? Is that normally where we do it? Okay.
Yes, per the zoning regulations, I don't know the section off the top of my head. It's probably in here, maybe it's on the agenda. Either way, the section requires that for an accessory apartment, it requires zoning commission's approval administrative only.
And that would mean that at this point, it meets all the requirements of our accessory in-law apartment regulations?
That's correct. The application won't even make it to the zoning commission until we review it and we determine that it has complied with all the conditions to have an accessory apartment. You know, a lot of times folks will come in, they'll apply for it, and we'll realize they need a variance for something. The zoning enforcement officer checked the application, determined that it complied, so that it's here for your blessing. Essentially, most of the compliance, all of the compliance work has really been done unless there's another concern from the commission.
Is there no, like I know when I was on BCA, we had notification. You don't have to do a notification on this?
Yes, they do,
Okay.
which has been done. I have the mailers here.
Okay, so they give it to you.
Correct. I have our certificates of mailing. I just staple it to the inside.
Okay.
So you just need an approval from us?
That's correct.
I would make a motion to approve the accessory in-law apartment for 235 Old Folks Lane.
Motion by,
Zoning. Mr. Avansky's comments and the fact that we fall out zoning requirements.
motion by Mr. Hendricks, second by Ms. Manis. Any further discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, 5-0. Thank you very much. Sediment and erosion, nothing. Planning projects, CRS award by FEMA.
So everyone received there's not much discussion on this. I just wanted to let the zoning commission know some of the things that we worked on. This is a 3-year project that's come to an end. Essentially by going above and beyond some of the FEMA's requirements to protect residents from wave action and climate-related events, hurricanes, things like that. After 2 years of compiling data and re-looking at our regulations, we were accepted this May. As a part of the program, we saved town residents $250,000 in flood insurance premiums every year. That's about $140 to $150 per policy for the residents, and that's over 5,000 residents here in Stratford that are going to be benefiting from this program. That's it. There's no discussion. I just wanted to, in case you all get comments or people ask about a nice reduction, a price tag going down, you're aware of it. If you have any questions or interested in learning more, you know, we'd love to have you, our town planner. I started this program, but she has taken it over for me in the last few months, and she will be maintaining it going forward. So any questions or involvement that you want to have, we'd love to have more help.
I personally would like to say thank you for the hard work that your office has put into this, and it was a very nice little ceremony with FEMA, or was that DEEP, that actually came down and actually presented.
FEMA came from Boston.
FEMA came from, oh, that's right too, she came all the way from Boston. It was before the last council meeting. It was a very nice little ceremony, and it's good to always have been recognized by them, and great job on your office.
Thank you.
It is a great job, and congratulations, and it's a good stuff. One of the questions I had, because I read it, and I called into our insurance, and they said that where I live in the South End was not included. Is it only certain districts that that benefit it?
It's only the most flood-prone of properties, but that's not to say that the FEMA, it's all based on, your insurance is based on the maps that FEMA draws. So the highest, most vulnerable properties are those that are gonna be lumped in with this program. That's not to say that you can actually, you as a homeowner can apply to have the FEMA map for Stratford amended, and say, you know, if you do in fact flood on a regular basis, you might be able to get an elevation certificate that essentially revises that map so that you are included into this program, or to receive the cost reduction.
So is there like a map that tells you what this covers? Is there a map, or you just have to call on a case-by-case basis and find out if you qualify?
What I would recommend is that you come down to the building department and talk to the floodplain administrator. He is the one who manages all the elevation certificates, which essentially are then sent to FEMA, and then that they coordinate with your insurance to determine how risky your property is to insure. Counts commercial and residential. Everything. Industrial, commercial, residential. So it's not only saving money for residents, it's making the town more attractive to businesses along Lordship Boulevard, which is very flood prone. I think that is in a very highly competitive region. That's something that's, we already have 2 folks that are coming in, and that's a part of the reason why they're interested in Stratford, is the fact that the land is less expensive, obviously, here along Lordship, but also because of the reduced cost in flood insurance.
Are there plans to extend that further? Because we would love for it to go into the neighborhoods, because that's one of the issues that we're struggling with, is the cost of flood insurance. And even like on a day like today, most of our streets were flooded. So is there plans to take that the next step?
I'm not sure that it actually allows it to go in. It only depends on whether FEMA revises their maps to include your neighborhood or your property. But you know, that would be a question for the town planner, who's going to be managing and maintaining this going forward, as to what that next step is going to be as we work through the maintenance of this.
Okay. Any other items, goal settings? Mr. Hendrick, you've been waiting for something here.
Well, I unfortunately was not at the last meeting regarding our cupola. And I know there were some emails going back. I think every one of the approvals had talked about maintaining the historical integrity of the structure itself. And now this thing has grown exponentially. It's blossomed into a weed. But I don't know how we address it going further. I know federal regulations allow them to do upgrades so long as they're not substantial. To me, what they did was substantial, because they're taking them off what was supposed to be an obscured and tight-fitting application, and now they're putting it in the center of the openings. So, but the approvals were always based on maintaining that aesthetic integrity, and now they've gone behind it. So to me, that kind of violates the whole approval. But I don't know where we go from here. How do we resolve this issue? Do we, shame on you, we signed this agreement and now we're stuck, whatever they want to ram down our throat? Or do we have some say or some protections or some oversight? Because that cupola, well, for one, the town spends a ton of money to maintain it and upkeep it. And it's the centerpiece of our town hall, and we've tried to do all this work with the fire station and, maintaining the building, and at this point, why not just whack the thing down and, put a flat roof up there?
Well, I've got a couple of, I don't disagree with you, and I can tell you the applicant did almost everything other than sue the town in order to come to that meeting. They said they didn't have to, and what I thought back to was one of my first public hearings here. There was a telecom that went up, and I remember Commissioner Henrick making or I would say not backing down to the architectural integrity. So that was a part of the reason why we fought to get them to come from Chicago to come to the meeting and talk about what they were going to do. The second part is the approval for this carrier, going back to the very first approval that they had, only require them to paint to match. There are other providers that were up there that we talked about, and it was actually the last telecom, the one that I mentioned that you talked about, one of my first meetings. That was, one of the conditions was that they had to maintain the architectural integrity. This wireless provider, their first approval did not require that. So, and a part of that federal legislation says that you can't tack on new conditions, so you got to get it right the first time around. So that was in 2003. And I mean, I don't know how many people knew what cell phones would be like, 20 years later, and how telecom equipment will be going up absolutely everywhere. Unfortunately, that doesn't undo what's going on up there. So I've been talking with the zoning enforcement officer, and I'm going to have him go through each approval to make sure that each condition that we legally are allowed to enforce is going to be enforced. So, we'll be looking at the screening of all the equipment that's in between the two buildings, it's actually right out over here. Anything that was supposed to be painted that maybe has not been painted, if we're allowed to make them do it, we're going to make them do it. The third part is that I'm actually working now because the telecom regulation that we have now was from before cell phones were, before they were what they are today. And unfortunately, if the zoning commission denied that application, they had already written our town attorney a letter saying that they were not going to just appeal, but they were going to be seeking at least $30,000 to $40,000 they were going to sue the town financially. So that was a part of the advice I think that the town attorney had given the commission, is that, listen, this isn't going to be just an appeal and then the judge is going to overturn it. There's going to be financial damage done to the town. So long story short, our current regulation doesn't work. Essentially, we're going to do what most other towns are doing, and is writing a much shorter regulation that essentially complies with the federal statute to eliminate as much of the exposure the town has to any lawsuits, because telecom is not just a luxury anymore, it's a utility. And so it has really taken a lot of the bite out of local commissions. Now, I think another part of this, without going on too long, is more help, I think, from not only the Siting Council, but the State Historic Preservation Office, that to work with the Siting Council that says, okay, Town Hall is not in the historic district, so the Historic Commission didn't get a bite at it. But historic buildings of X, Y, nature, whatever it happens to be, they need to, the normal rules of telecom shouldn't necessarily apply. The town should have more authority in protecting their architectural artifacts, their buildings. That's a long haul doing that.
So if the town had, at the time of the original application, denied the application, would we have been taken to court and said they want to put it there, they're going to put it there, or would they have had to look for alternate sites?
The original from 2003 or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know what the federal legislation was. I'm almost positive that the paperwork they gave us that said, listen, you can't say no, was from 2011.
But it was,
so we probably could have said no at that time.
But the paperwork said, well, from what I remember of the gentleman who was here, was that we can't say no, and I think you had said we can't say no to upgrades. We can't withhold their ability to upgrades. But back before our original approval, could we have denied the original approval? And if that's the case, then I mean, is it better just to let it go and try and do our best to keep it from snowballing, or should we, as a town, look for an alternate site, whether it's on the new school property or wherever it might be, where you know, we can bring back the integrity of that cupola. And if we decide, well, hey, you know, we don't like it anymore because it looks like, you know, crap, we're just going to knock it down and you guys got to go somewhere else.
Yeah. And
Or we're not going to maintain it and, you know.
I mean, I understood what Commissioner Hendricks was trying to convey in terms of the look of that particular, of our cupola. Is there any opportunity now, since we're building a new high school? I mean, at one point, Town Hall was the cleanest, tallest, the cupola was the best location. Now that we're looking at a high school that's going to have a better height, a better structure, can we work with the telecom communication companies to relocate their equipment in some way, or they don't get approval until they relocate it? I mean, there's got to be some incentive for them to move it to another location. I mean, Stratford High would seem to make the most sense, and we could build a structure that isn't quite so offensive and clean up the cupola.
Well, I'd be happy to talk with the CAO about, you know, the ability to be able to do that. Yeah, I have no problem discussing that with him. In addition to that, you know, I think it's probably a good opportunity to sit down with the CAO who is executing some of these contracts where we may not have the bite as the property owner and the ones who are essentially signing the contract to say we give you the authority to do so. We may be able to add some more language on the contractual end that says, hey, look, we want you to, if you're going to be putting them up here, you can't see them, or would they have to be enclosed, because that's a different agreement than a municipal board saying, yes, you can go here, no, you cannot go here. So we might be able to get it on that front end before it even comes to the commission as well. So those two things. I'll talk to the CAO about potentially finding a new location on a taller building, something close in proximity, maybe the high school, as well as being maybe they can reach out to the planning office whenever they're going to be executing contracts for telecom, and we may be able to do some more on that end.
Okay.
They're not bad. I tried pulling them before we started using them. They're not holding?
Somebody'd like to make a motion to adjourn by Mr. Nguyen, second by Ms. Manis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, everyone.
Ah.